We are in the full swing of Dynasty trading season, and so there are some assets that we think you should not even be considering trading, you should be holding. So these are our stashes for Dynasty Fantasy Football right now, and we're going to start with 24 second-round picks. This isn't a player, but these picks, I think, are going to be some of the most important capital here in about a month and a half, maybe 2 months, that you could ask for in Dynasty Fantasy Football. I think they're going to increase in value even more than 24 first will from a relative standpoint. I think this 24 second round class is looking fairly good. I think 24 early seconds are going to be hyper valuable. I think you're going to get some better players for these 24 seconds than you would if you traded these assets. So a lot of people will move seconds around. A lot of people will, use them in trades to get trades done. Do not trade your 24 second round picks. You should be holding your 24 second round picks for sure. You should not be trading any. You shouldn't even be thinking about it, honestly. A late second, early second, mid second. Hold these picks. The rest of these are going to be players, but I need to just start by saying you've got to be holding your 24 seconds right now. So go ahead and take the first one here.
I'm going to go with Jaylen Warren. He is a guy that has been quietly on the rise this year and has been someone that, honestly, we've never been super big on. We're not big really on any running backs that don't have notable draft capital, and we're not going to bet on players being outliers. But I think at this point, we're 2 years into Jaylen Warren being on the Pittsburgh Steelers and honestly getting to a point where he's likely going to overtake Najee Harris next year. And it's been very quiet under the radar, less than I thought, or more than I thought it would be, because the Pittsburgh Steelers have been so bad this year offensively. And with Warren, one of the things that has been spoken of about him or compared to him is Austin Eckler and how similar they are as prospects, how he really looks like Eckler on the field, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, eye test looks like anyone can look like anyone. Like, I really don't see it. I'm not buying it. You're just saying that because he's a, undrafted guy that can catch the ball. Well, when you look at it statistically, it honestly is not very far off. And I'm not going as far as saying that Jaylen Warren is the next Austin Eckler. I'm not going to go that far. I think that's unrealistic and honestly just giving you false hope. I'm not giving you that hope.
I do have a question,
think,
though.
What?
Are you saying that Jaylen Warren is going to be the next Austin Eckler?
No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is I think there's a lot of room for Jaylen Warren to increase in value in 2024, which is why you should capitalize on his price now. So let's just look at his statistics from 2022 when he came in to 2023. And he started as he only had 77 attempts his rookie season for 379 yards, 4.9 yards per carry, so pretty efficient. And he even had 33 targets with that limited volume. Like dang near 50, like he had like a third of his touches were in the receiving game, which is really nice to see for a guy that could potentially serve as a nice weapon that didn't have good draft capital. So we're going into year 2, and you start hearing these preseason whispers, right, with Jaylen Warren, like, oh, Jaylen Warren, he's going to overtake Najee Harris. Oh, Jaylen Warren, he's going to be Austin Eckler this year. And we were like, no, he's not. Like, please don't waste your pick. Najee Harris is the guy. And it's actually been funny because Jaylen Warren has been okay this year. He hasn't been, like, insane.
Yeah, he's been pretty good.
So he has been very good. And check this out. This year, finishes a running back 2022 in PPR, 200 points total on the year.
Did you just say the running back 2022?
Did I say that?
Yeah.
The running back 2022. No.
We're leaving this in, so keep going.
No.
You are not taking this out.
Oh no, the running back 22. I did it that time.
You did it again.
No, I didn't. He had 149 attempts, 5.2 yards per carry. Now check out what Austin Eckler did playing alongside Melvin Gordon his second year. 106 attempts, 5.2 yards per carry.
Interesting.
5.2 yards per carry. He had 53 targets that year for 39 receptions. Jaylen Warren this year had 74 targets for 61 receptions.
Wow.
Now, we've seen this story in Pittsburgh before, where sometimes the receptions for the Pittsburgh running back can be a little bit skewed because of how bad the quarterback play has been for the last few years. That said, I think the receiving upside for Jaylen Warren is very legitimate. I think he makes a lot out of a little and serves as a very, very nice weapon for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think he's going to be that for the next couple of years at least. And I think year 3 could be the point where he legitimately overtakes Najee Harris and is honestly, he could finish as a top 16 running back next year.
All right, I'm excited to talk about Antonio Gibson here because let's look at Antonio Gibson. And I'm going to tell you a story through statistics. You can give your opinion about players, you can give your scouting report on players, whatever. But let's use something that you cannot argue with, and that is numbers. He had 63 rushing attempts this year for 257 yards, 4.1 yards per carry. Okay, not anything to write home about.
No.
But this is good. He had 45 receptions for 361 yards, and he had 3 total touchdowns this year. So that's actually pretty good. However, when you balance those out, 8.1 fantasy points per game, that's good for 43rd among running backs. 43rd. That's not good. Let's start with the opportunity share for Antonio Gibson.
Gibson.
I didn't say that. I said Gibson.
Sure.
Opportunity share this year, 49th in the league, 33%. Weighted opportunities, 39th in the league, 124. Team run plays per game, 31st in the league. 31st in the league. 59th in carries. 51st in red zone touches. Despite all that, let's look at Antonio Gibson and see what numbers can tell us how Antonio Gibson actually performed this year from an efficiency perspective. He was 16th in targets. He was 11th in receiving yards. He was 14th in receptions. He was 7th in fantasy points per opportunity that he had. 7th in the league. Every opportunity that he had, he was scoring a single fantasy point on every single one of them. Every single one. He was 23rd in target share. He was 7th among running backs in routes run. He was 12th in route participation. He was 10th in yards per reception. He was 22nd in yards per route run. He was 12th in catch rate. He was 4th in yards per touch this year in the entire NFL among running backs. He was 9th in juke rate. He was 2nd in the NFL among running backs in yards created per touch.
So what it sounds like to me is that Antonio Gibson needs to go to a place not called Washington where they can actually correctly utilize him. Not just utilize him, but correctly do it. Because I feel like every time he gets an opportunity in Washington, it's like it's incorrect. I'm like, don't use him that way. Like that's not the type of weapon that he could be. They just I don't understand it. But
Antonio Gibson undeniably had very little opportunity this year, and when he did get opportunity, he was one of the most efficient and productive running backs in the league, period. If Washington were to, say, revamp their coaching staff, because Ron Rivera's out, is Eric Bieniemy going to stay there? I honestly hope he goes back to the Chiefs. But is Eric Bieniemy going to be there? Who knows?
I don't think he will.
If they were to get somebody else in there, will they use Antonio Gibson correctly? Also possible.
Do you really think they're going to re-sign him?
Gibby?
Yeah, Washington. Do you think Washington will re-sign him?
I think the odds are he goes somewhere else, and that's why I think he's a buy right now.
Yeah.
Because not only is he a buy because his efficiency metrics are very good, he's a buy because he's going to go somewhere else and his value is going to spike.
He's a stash.
Stash.
Is what he is. A stash.
Actually, he's kind of
a mustache.
He's kind of a mustache. Actually, he's kind of a buy, actually, when I think about it. Yeah. But any buy is a stash. Yeah. You're just not selling them as well. So we're calling him a stash, but he's also a buy. Antonio Gibson guy that
they're just guys that are like they have such little value that they're not even worth buying. They're like almost throw-ins, you know.
So Antonio Gibson, keep him on your rosters, stash him away. Next year it's probably going to be better for him. Yep. Go ahead.
Mac Jones, there is no guarantee that next year is going to be better for him. There's no guarantee that Mac Jones even starts next year. However, I honestly would put some money on Mac Jones probably getting another starting opportunity next year. Why? Because he was a former first-round pick. And if you don't believe that the NFL shows favoritism to assets that were taken in the first round of the NFL draft, you are wrong. It happens. It is absolutely real. There is no reason that after Zach Wilson's second season, there's no reason he should have stepped back onto an NFL field, ever. There's no reason that he should have even been in the league. He was that bad. But since he was the second overall pick in the NFL draft 3 years ago, he gets opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. That is the worst of the worst. Like, all-time busts is Zach Wilson, okay? Mac Jones, he's not that much better, but he's still, honestly, he was a little bit better than Zach Wilson. And look, if someone as bad as Zach Wilson get an opportunity, I think Mac Jones can. There were so many things that went wrong in New England this year that, like, so. Yeah, you could blame Mac Jones for it. he started stronger, honestly. He had a ton of passing attempts like earlier in the year.
He did, but he finished 26th in the league in pass attempts.
Yeah, I know, which is kind of crazy. They just fell apart.
22nd in team pass attempts per game, or team pass plays per game.
That whole franchise, honestly, it feels good to see them not do well for a little bit. But Mac Jones, I think at this point we know that he's going to go elsewhere, whether it's via trade or they cut him or something. I think he's shown enough, at least his rookie year, that really is going to at least interest people, where maybe he starts as a backup, maybe he earns a starting job. I mean, look at the quarterback landscape across the board, across the NFL. You had Desmond Ridder starting. You had Tommy freaking DeVito, guys.
Hey. Yeah.
Like, what are we going to do here? Are we just going to say that Mac Jones is irrelevant and we're not going to touch it? Like, he's free. He's free. Stash him. Like, if you're going to stash any quarterback, why would you not stash Mac Jones, who has first-round draft capital? Why would you not stash him? Why would you stash someone else that's a backup that really, like an Easton Stick? Like, what? Come on. Or even Jake Browning. Like, I don't know. I think he's absolutely worth at least taking a shot on in the way late rounds. I mean, who are you betting on at that point anyways? Most of those picks aren't going to pan out.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's go to Parker Washington here. Parker Washington is...
Parker Washington?
Parker Washington?
What do they say? Who are the people from that say it like that? Is it Wisconsin?
Warsh? People in
or is that Minnesota?
People in Indiana say Warsh.
No.
Yes, they do.
Oh,
Mr. Indianapolis
I've never
boy.
Heard that. Are you serious?
Yeah. Drive 20 minutes that way and see how they say it.
They say Warsher?
Yeah, they say Crick too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's people here. It's Midwest.
And
Parker Washington.
I can't believe I'm affiliated with Warsher.
Oh, shut up, Nathan. Yeah, quit acting like you're high and mighty. Parker Washington, or Washington, depending on where you're from. He had a game of 18 points this year, and that was really the first game he got significant snaps. 59% snap share. He had 6 catches that week with a touchdown.
You know the crazy thing about that too?
What?
That was Christian Kirk's first game out.
I know, and since then he really hasn't done much. It's been consistently downhill. 8 points, 5 points, 3 points, 1 point, and then I'm back up to 2 points as last week. But Parker Washington's one of those guys we're just going to say, you know what, we think he's decent enough, and we think the opportunity's going to be there, so we're going to stash him. He's not worth anything, so there's no point in selling him. There's not really a point in throwing him in on trades. Like, he's just somebody that's so cheap that we think it might be worth a stash.
Yeah, and he was a prospect that we really liked going into 2023, and someone that just didn't get the draft capital that we were hopeful for, but it's been funny to see how, like, his pro comp was Christian Kirk. And the fact that he goes to the same team that has Christian Kirk, and Christian Kirk goes down and he immediately produces and plays that role, just, I think, shows you that he's capable, not necessarily of being the next Christian Kirk. I mean, maybe he could be. That's a ceiling, but there's room for opportunity there. And then we're going to go Jelani Woods next. He's Colts tight end, 3rd round tight ends. I think they drafted in 2022, and he missed all of 2023. There were a lot of hopefuls going into his second season in Dynasty that wanted him to really do well, and he went down with that hamstring injury over training camp. They put him on IR, expected him to be back after 6 weeks, and he just regressed, and he never got better, and they just called it for the rest of the season. He didn't play. Really unfortunate. I was excited to see what he did in Steichen's offense. The most important thing here is, number one, there's a couple important things here. Number one, there are currently no true number 1 tight ends in Indianapolis. They keep drafting them because they don't know who the frick is going to be the number 1. They bring in another head coach in Shane Steichen, who has his own philosophy with tight ends, and he's utilized them. He's utilized Mallory. He's utilized Granson. He's utilized Mo Alley Cox, all 3 of them. And Jelani just never got that shot because he didn't play this year. So I'm curious to see. Jelani Woods has the most athletic tools, I think, out of any of those players. He is the most versatile. He's the biggest. He's the tallest. He's the strongest. He can really do anything, and I think that bodes well for his potential opportunity in his 3rd year. Do I think he's going to end up being the guy? I honestly don't know. Again, this is a stash video. It's just worth a shot because he's so incredibly cheap, and you saw how much he went up in value after his rookie season. There's a chance that he could maybe even exceed that next year.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Last guy's going to be Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker is, again, another guy that really hasn't done anything this year. He was still rehabbing his ACL from last year. Came in. He was the backup in the games that he was actually available for, but not really available at all.
He got first-round buzz. And if he hadn't torn his ACL, there's a chance he did.
He's a guy that's talented enough to where if something were to happen to Jared Goff next year, which, again, we learned this year that we are only an injury away from some of these backup quarterbacks becoming relevant.
Yep.
And that for that reason alone, Hendon Hooker is going to be a hold for us. And I think Hendon Hooker, again, he has a good enough skill set. He was a good enough prospect. He's already 26 years old, but he's also not worth he is not worth jack squat to anybody in the Dynasty community. And so for that reason, I don't really see any reason to sell Hendon Hooker or, I wouldn't even say buy. You're getting him for a late third at the best right now. So
A.T. Perry, Zay Jones.
Yes. So with value adjacent guys like that, he's a quarterback in a league where we've had lots of injuries to quarterbacks and where quarterback is so freaking important. I mean, you have no-name quarterbacks getting starts this year. Hendon Hooker's better than a no-name quarterback, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think he's a good stash for this year.
This year was horrible. If you're going to take anything away from this year, it's to learn your lesson about stashing those backup QBs. Yeah. You just got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I forgot to mention this in the middle of the video, but we do have team blueprints available for you who flock over to flockfantasy.com/domain. When you use code domain and choose the mother flocker tier, you get one of these team blueprints. Team blueprint is a multi-year, well-rounded, strategic plan for your dynasty team. We're basically going to tell you, okay, you need to do this with your roster. You need to make these moves. You need to sell these players. You need to be doing this with this position group. You need to be making this approach with this position group. We give you a thorough analysis of your roster, and then you get your team blueprint, and then we come alongside you one-on-one, and we basically help build your team into a dynasty. The whole point of Dynasty is to win money. We're here to help you do that. Flockfantasy.com/domain. Use code domain and choose the mother flocker tier to sign up today and to receive a team blueprint. Appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.